this place to the ground.
Wanda, welcome home.
Vision residents.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This is going to be my breakdown of the Loki trailer footage. It's going to be premiering next year in 2021 before Doctor Strange 2 comes out. So I'll explain all the Easter eggs. They're setting up a really big multiverse story that's going to spill into a lot of the other series as well as the future movies too, and introduce a couple really big multiverse level villains like Kang the Conqueror. We've been doing that Infinity Saga box set giveaway for all the movies. All you have to do to enter that is just be a subscriber and leave all your theories about what they're going to do on the Loki series. So just starting with the footage, it picks up with him being held by the Marvel Time Variance Authority in one of their prison cells as denoted by the jumpsuit that he's wearing with the initials TVA. As Loki tends to do in situations like this where his back's against the wall, he spits at them saying, "I'm gonna burn this place to the ground." It's great, it's a complete and utter Loki thing of him to do. How did he get there? Who are the Time Variance Authority? And because this is a Loki from an alternate reality after Avengers Endgame, and the Loki series is premiering after WandaVision but before Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Madness and Thor 4 Love and Thunder, and a lot of those things are trading heavy on the concept of the multiverse, maybe not necessarily Thor 4. What does the Loki series and episodes have to do with all that stuff? How are they going to cross over? Because the plot of all the Disney Plus series are supposed to affect what happens in the future movies, so whatever they're doing during Loki is going to have a big ripple effect on what goes forward. So we'll just break this down top 5 style. There's a couple of really cool Easter eggs in this too, especially some Fantastic Four stuff. I know you're all waiting for more news about Marvel's new Fantastic Four movie reboot. Don't worry, I'll talk about that during the video. But starting with number 5, this is the Loki from Avengers Endgame who stole the Tesseract during 2012 in the events of the first Avengers movie. Tom Hiddleston recently revealed that not a lot of time will have passed for him when the series picks up in Loki Episode 1, but based on the plot synopsis of the series, he'll be jumping around in time. The multiverse really comes into play because 2012 Avengers Loki created an alternate timeline branching out from 2012 when he took the Tesseract. Even if you weren't happy with the way they explained all the mechanics of time travel and alternate realities, you have to go based on the logic that they set up, so the Ancient One has that big PowerPoint tutorial that she gives the Hulk. Is the whole reason why Captain America had to take the Infinity Stones back to where they stole them from at the end of the movie, and he says to Bruce, "Don't worry, I'll clip all the branches," as in branching timelines. So number 4, if Loki had the Tesseract and an infinite ability to travel anywhere he wanted, how did he wind up in this prison cell, and who are the Time Variance Authority? Who will presumably be the antagonist of the series, since Breaking Bad style, the protagonist of the series is Loki, something of an anti-hero. It's much easier to understand how he got captured once you understand who the Time Variance Authority is, and they appeared in the Marvel Comics for the first time in Thor number 372 in 1986 during a Thor time travel story, so no surprise that they're debuting in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the first time in a Thor-related story via Loki, but they also interacted a lot and crossed over with the Fantastic Four in the comics. I'll get to that in a second too. Real quick explainer for them though, the Time Variance Authority claims responsibility for monitoring the multiverse and can prune timelines quote-unquote if they're deemed too dangerous to exist. They also take action to prevent other beings from altering the past or future, and despite their claims, the Time Variance Authority's influence over time is not absolute. There are a couple really big Marvel time travel villains that they've never been able to stop, including Kang the Conqueror and a couple others from the past. The official plot synopsis of the Loki series has him traveling through time, messing with major events in Earth's history, causing all kinds of mischief. The Time Variance Authority probably detects this and moves to capture him, and that's probably how he winds up in this cell. Number 3, what does this have to do with Thor 4, Love and Thunder, WandaVision, and Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness? So let's start with Thor 4, because it would be weird to have a big Thor movie and not have Loki cameo in some way. But the main version of Loki from Thor's timeline died during Avengers Infinity War, and this Loki is alternate reality Loki who never got any of the redemption arc or character development through Marvel Phase 2, Phase 3, and because not a lot of time will have gone by from the end of Avengers Endgame when he escaped with the Tesseract in the beginning of Loki Episode 1, Tom Hiddleston says that the last thing he remembers is getting thrashed by the Hulk, so he is really pissed off and he's escaped Odin's justice and just as wild as ever. So early speculation, they will find a way for this version of Loki to be involved in Thor 4 a little bit, and it'll have something to do with the version of Mjolnir that Jane Foster Thor winds up wielding. But nothing that they've said about Thor 4 so far, even the Christian Bale stuff, screams multiverse. So that's why I'm thinking that Loki, if he does appear during Thor 4, it'll be a relatively minor role. There's a bit of a Rick and Morty connection to this too. The Time Variance Authority is kind of like the Citadel of Ricks, and the showrunner on the Loki series came from Rick and Morty. So it sounds like Marvel is looking for that kind of energy with the Time Variance Authority.
It's not fair, you have no rights, and he's not a lawyer. We just keep him here because he's fun. Look at him go.
Think of Tesseract Loki as C-137 Rick trying to jump around and do whatever he wants to do, escaping the authority of the Citadel, who's trying to chase him down and stop him. They are already talking about doing a Loki Season 2. I don't know what the plot of that would be because we haven't seen Loki Season 1 yet, so it's still wide open to speculation. Because some of these Marvel series, we didn't know if they were going to do Season 2, but it sounds like some of them might get multiple seasons. So number 2, the Doctor Strange 2 Multiverse of Madness and WandaVision connection I think is purely just because time-traveling Loki will lead to the creation of more multiple realities, causing chaos for the multiverse. And for the most part, Doctor Strange 2 is going to be them battling Nightmare or Mephisto or another major villain from the multiverse with the help of Scarlet Witch, and thus they'll also be traveling around the multiverse just like Loki. But I don't expect Loki to have a really major role in Doctor Strange 2, maybe a small cameo or a mention, because he and Doctor Strange have history, and even though the Loki he had history with wound up dying during Infinity War, Loki was on Doctor Strange's shit list since the minute he became Sorcerer Supreme, so it wouldn't matter which version of Loki was traveling around the multiverse trying to change the timeline, Doctor Strange would still try to keep an eye on his whereabouts. But number 1, WTF, obviously, what about Fantastic Four and Kang the Conqueror? I think everybody's just wondering because the Time Variance Authority multiverse villain just screams Kang the Conqueror, especially when you get into time traveling. Like I said, the Time Variance Authority shows up a bunch during Fantastic Four stories, attempting to discipline them for damage they believe the team has done to the multiverse through their time travel and jumping between realities, but unsuccessful, I might add. The Fantastic Four are much smarter than the Time Variance Authority. We all know that Marvel is working on a new Fantastic Four movie reboot. Kevin Feige said it back at Comic-Con.
All of that is spoilers, but I'm extremely excited about those characters and about bringing Marvel's first family up sort of to the platform and the level that they deserve. See all the stuff we did today?
But you dropped all these teasers.
I just said we didn't have time to talk about it.
Based on all the information we have so far, I don't think that they're going to release that till 2022 or 2023, but because WandaVision is going to confirm the space station Nick Fury was on in the Spider-Man Far From Home post-credit scene is actually the SWORD space station from the comics, in the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the big Avengers level stuff, the big team-based stuff, is going more cosmic and more multiverse with the villains and the stories. It makes sense that they'll use the Loki episodes to world build a lot more, like the way you see Rick and Morty go to alternate realities, just world building constantly, making things seem bigger and bigger and bigger. That's where you encounter characters like Kang the Conqueror. He doesn't have to show up on the Loki episodes, but you can name drop him so that in the future, when he shows up in a movie, he's a much bigger threat because you've already laid that track work. There's still a lot of theories about how they're going to handle the Marvel Fantastic Four reboot, how they'll handle the origin story. Are they going to already have their powers at the beginning of the movie? Will it be like the Doctor Strange movie where they'll tell it in a slightly non-linear way? Or even make them scientists working on the SWORD space station and then it just gets hit by cosmic energy waves and that's how they get their powers. It's still wide open to theory crafting, so post all your Fantastic Four theories in the comments. Kang is also a really big Avengers level villain, so if they don't use him in a movie first, he'd be great as a Young Avengers Disney Plus series villain in a couple years once they introduce all those team members. If you include all the characters they already have in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then the ones that they just announced recently, they almost have the full original comic book Young Avengers roster, including Wiccan and Speed, which they just introduced in the Scarlet Witch WandaVision trailer. But everyone, post all your theories in the comments. How do you think the Loki series will cross over with Thor 4, Doctor Strange 2, and do you think they'll introduce Kang the Conqueror as a sort of Thanos-level figure on the Loki series? I've got a bunch more Marvel and Mandalorian Season 2 videos coming up. If there's any special videos you want me to do, just let me know in the comments. But everyone, click here for my new Doctor Strange 2 special announcement breakdown. It's pizza time. And click here for my WandaVision trailer video. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.